Hello, welcome. This is the StEP interview number two with John Danahay. And John is a peak performance runner who we've known through the organisation. I've met through ADRI and we had a really good phone chat many months ago about your background as well and how you got started and your IT background and everything else like that. So, would you please give an introduction as to who you are and how you got into running?
Yes, I'm a runner who really has been through it all. I'm 58 years old now, but started at 12, so more than 45 years of pretty well continuous running. No big gaps in there. The old illness and injury that you'd expect from life, but started at school in Holland, so I have a connection with Adri actually through the fact that we both started running in Holland, although I didn't meet Adri until the early 80s in Stoke-on-Trent. But started at school, into school competition, and then the rest of my running life really until just a few years ago, the traditional track and field and cross country running that is very popular in Britain still, and ran with a running club up to sort of like county level, not international or anything like that, but consistent and strong over many years, and all types of running, from running on the track, short distances, 400 meters, 800 meters, right up to ultra trail in my later years. So carried everything, um, covered everything over the years, and really kept at it over a long period of time. Probably more than 100,000 miles now in running, so 4 times around the world if you look at it that way.
That's fantastic. That's a lot of years running as well. Um, there are people, and the premise of our organisation is to encourage people to take a more sustainable form of exercise. One, for lowering the environmental impact. Secondly, to improve people's physical health, and thirdly, their mental well-being as well. Um, a lot of people do struggle taking the first step. It's the couch potato syndrome. People want to do something, but they lack the direction. They need a starting point. They need something to reach out for, whether that's a friend to do it with, whether it's a coach like yourself who can take them from a starting point, or whether it's following a particular program. So if I was a couch potato who wanted to start exercising and I was afraid that I was going to pull a muscle because I haven't done anything for a while, how would you encourage me to get up and make a first step?
Really, the first step is to try and get outside and walk, and just explore your locality a bit more. If you're not doing that already, I mean, many people walk a dog or go out for walks already, but it's to try and expand that. And one of the things that both Adri and myself are keen on is something that he calls easy fartlek, where basically you just add in little sections of slightly faster walking, or eventually a little bit of jogging and walking, jogging and running, but you do it to feel. So you don't have necessarily initially a set program, but you explore your locality, start to look for places where you can have a bit of a jog while you're there, and it's a gradual progression really from a position of walking. And one useful thing that particularly, I suppose, in normal circumstances, that there is more opportunity to go down a formal route, and things like couch to 5K programs that local running clubs offer. You can go down to your local park run on a Saturday morning. So there's those more formal kind of opportunities. But obviously at the moment that's restricted. But it also gives more people on furlough and not able to run at the moment. Sorry, not able to work at the moment. There's the opportunity to get out and explore the locality while they're at home. And one of the good ways to do that is to use OS maps or access those on your phone or on your computer at home, and see all the footpaths that there are in your area, because there's usually a lot more there that you don't know about. Have an explore of those, and just walking initially, so you know where you get your bearings, and from that you can gradually increase the amount that you do. But it genuinely is a case of building up initially time on feet, because that with for most people who are starting perhaps after many years, after they've done a lot of exercise, at least perhaps at school or whatever, but many years after they've previously done exercise, that's the most important thing, is to build up resilience back into your body, so that it can take doing more. And that time on feet is the best way of doing it, low intensive exercise rather than high intensity initially, so that it also gives you the opportunity to have things, look at your diet and nutrition and so on, to try and get yourself a bit healthier, so that when you do some exercise, perhaps running, where it is higher intensity, you're not going to injure yourself straight away. The basic problem in many cases, people jump too quickly into higher intensity forms of exercise, and their body just doesn't have the background and the resilience to cope with this. And of course, that puts them off. They get injured very quickly, and they decide that it's not for them. So it is initially that patience, low intensity, building up your strength, underlying strength and base, with low intensity walking, a little bit of jogging, and then you can go from there. And yes, coaches and clubs and all the formal things really start to come into are really useful then.
Lovely. Thank you for that. Sorry, the sound, is it coming through clear?
Yes, I can hear you fine. Nigel. Can you hear me okay? Yes.
Yes. For more advanced runners, I had a look on your website, and you've got an interesting article called, I'm just looking at it now, called "Don't Panic If You Need to Take a Break from Running."
Yes.
What's that about?
Well, what happens is that if you're a serious runner over many years, you actually build up a base fitness. Your body makes quite strong, very strong physiological changes over many years. And runners get very worried if they have to have a week off or a few days, just a few days, a day off in some cases, let alone a few days or a week or a month off. If they do get ill, they pick up a cold, or just a cold, or a virus, or they need to have some time off for some other reason, they get very worried about it, and that they're going to lose a lot of fitness. So the fitness really has two major components. There's sort of an underlying strength there, what I talked about earlier in terms of beginners starting with time on feet to build up resilience. That kind of underlying fitness takes a long time to get, but it also takes a long time to lose. So that bit you don't have to worry about as much. For people perhaps who are more competitive, serious athletes, then you do lose a bit of the top end of your fitness, the specific sort of the muscle coordination and power and so on. That can go quite quickly, and so you feel rusty. But it also doesn't take long to get back, and you do have you actually remember how to do it. So particularly if you practice something for a long time, when you come back to do it, it doesn't take as long to get it back the second time. And it is a common thing. People rush back too fast. That's what I'm saying. They have time off for whatever reason, and then they try to get back into it and get back to their previous level almost immediately. And in actual fact, because they're worried that they're going to lose a lot of fitness and they're not being able to catch up, perhaps with their competitors. But in reality, the body takes longer than they think to lose that fitness, and they can make it up in less time than it originally took them to get it, a lot less time. So that's the premise there, and yeah, runners do panic. It's a habit. In fact, one of the things I mentioned in conjunction with beginners is really have to persevere initially through becoming a runner, I suppose. Maybe 3 to 6 months. It varies, from person to person. But there is a point in which you actually don't want to stop doing it. I'm not saying that it's necessarily addictive, but certainly it becomes a habit, and you really start to miss going for a run rather than not, trying to avoid it. There does become a point in which that's the case. And for serious runners who are training very hard, it actually does become genuinely difficult to not to avoid, to try and take a gradual approach into coming back into training. So that's what that's about, really. Just a reminder that you will be back.
Lovely. John, I appreciate your time. If anybody who is into running and needs fine-tuning, coaching, encouragement, how do you help them?
Well, everybody's an individual. That's really my whole what I do is individual coaching and advice. It can be as little as it can be an email or a chat or a message, and a single response, right up to the level of detailed planning. Athletes who are looking to perform at their best. That really is the crux of it, is planning and organisation of the training. So High Performance Runner, which is what I obviously do with the website and training advice services, is about organising. You get to the point perhaps at some time in your running life that you really want to go for something and do your best, and that's what it comes down to, is actually planning it. Almost like a military campaign, I suppose, or a project at work. It's project management in terms of achieving the right result at the right time. So that's what I'm about with that, really. But in some cases, it can be just a little chat and a little point in the right direction, maybe in the direction of somebody else or a club, or some other option to their training, which is just a single sentence. So it varies, but each person is an individual. I think that's really
the lovely. Thank you for your time. I'm going to put the website link up at the end on the video if anybody needs to contact you and follow up any points or take you up on your coaching skills. So I appreciate your time, and John, thank you very much for being our guest.
No, thank you for inviting me, Nigel. I hope the project continues to go well. So thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Okay, goodbye.
Okay, thank you.